Carolina. I'm here with Mike Lee, the founder of Future Market and the co-founder of Alpha Food Lab. He's a dear friend. Probably, I can officially say the person I love to cook with the most. Very adventurous in that way. Yeah, we have a million stories, but where are you right now? You're in an office.
I'm at my desk. I'm at my desk. I am doing a cooking segment from my desk because this is real life. And a lot of people are eating and doing things at their desks, at their homes. So today is actually Chinese New Year Eve, and my dad, I'm in Michigan with my parents, just had a baby a few months ago. And so, thank you. My dad is prepping Chinese New Year dinner in the kitchen. So he kind of took precedent over the kitchen. And also, I believe little baby girl just went down for a nap in the room adjacent to the kitchen. So I didn't want to be yammering on, waking her up. And I just I think this is just like working parent COVID hustle. And so I prepped my stuff.
Yeah, talk to us about what you made. You showed us a little bit
at my
before.
desk. And, we're gonna show people some like delicious kind of. I always go for stuff that has a high delicious to effort ratio.
Yep.
Especially
into it.
Especially now having
how do you judge the effort to delicious ratio?
A lot of the stuff is so the featured ingredient I wanted to build this dish around too was I've been making my own chili oil, and there's a lot of different cool brands. You're getting some. I just made 19 liters of it over the weekend.
Sweet.
Yeah, I did. Well, this is version 1.0. I have 2.0 mellowing out in the garage, but part of it is this, right? Using smart ingredient. I'm not just trying to I'm not selling this, so it's I'm not plugging anything, but you can obviously buy Lagan Ma chili oil, classic Chinese kind of version from the grocery store, Asian food market. There's Fly by Jing, which is it has a really awesome new wave version of it. But it's anything that you can pre-store flavor. This is a flash drive for flavor.
Oh my God!
Store
genius.
all the flavor.
Well, let's coin that. Let's coin that flash drive for
this
flavor.
Is stuff there's a flash drive for flavor, and then you just download it into a thing, and then you've now created something delicious for lunch in 90 seconds. Well, and this mise en place took me 6 minutes that I did earlier.
I want to see that immediately. As you know, Zach, mutual friend, tortilla master, has the salsa macho. So when Mike was hey, I'm going to do this chili oil, he's make a salsa. It's the Mexican version or the Chinese version of salsa macha. So I was well, I'm not going to make it because I know someone who makes a really good one, but I am going to use it. Anyways, I already got oil all over my hands. Sweet.
But yes, you can't open this without getting oil everywhere. These things, the same with the salsa macha.
Don't do it.
But I love. I mean, the last thing I'll say, I'm going to show you the mise en place is I love the connection. I used to live in the Upper West Side for a little bit, and there was a whole string of Chino Latino restaurants there. And I grew up in a restaurant family, Chinese, and I've always loved just all kinds of Latin food from everywhere. And I loved that there's this intersection between those two somehow. I think the two styles of food are really complementary, to be honest with you. Chino Latino fusion just feels natural. It doesn't feel forced, in my opinion. And then obviously everyone's crazy about chili crisp these days, even though it's been around for a while.
I have been seeing the chili crisp everywhere now.
Yeah. And then salsa macha is a thing too. So I was just wait, this is a connective tissue thing between Mexico and China. I just thought it was interesting.
Love that.
But yeah, today what we're doing is I've got some just basic Chinese wheat noodles, but you can pick whatever kind of noodles you want, but these were just got at the H Mart that I really love.
Sweet.
I've got some Chinese sausage, lapchung, that
I
just chopped up and just kind of sauteed a little bit in some soy really briefly.
I feel I always need to use that more in my life. I love Chinese sausage.
This is the health portion of the meal. This is some cabbage. So this is two kinds of cabbage. One's a green cabbage that I cook riscaldo because I did a big thing of ribs for the Super Bowl over a fire.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
And you've seen me do this many times. I threw the cabbage in the fire on the coals, which is my favorite way of doing the cabbage. It gets all sweet, and then some raw red cabbage and just kind of a simple rice wine vinegar dressing, scallions for color and garnish, and just a little oniony bite.
Love it.
And then this ingredient, which I was reunited with just being home and thinking nostalgic about memories, and I picked it up at the Chinese grocery store, is pork floss. So this is, oh my God, I literally just had a whole bunch of pork floss on my computer, on my keyboard. Wow.
I'm sure it's loving that.
Guys, this is real. This is real. This is what happens when you cook at your desk.
Making it look good. Making it look good.
Dude, I got pork floss on my computer. That's awesome, actually. Pork floss. So it's like this. It's this like condiment that's been around for a long time. You buy it at a Chinese grocery store. It's got like a cotton candy texture to it, except dry.
Yeah.
And it's literally like pork that they kind of spun into these fine little threads, and it's delicious. It's like salty. It's kind of junky food, but it's like it's got a little sweet twinge to it, but it tastes like pork. So it's just like a great topping on like almost anything. So
well, it's interesting you were saying this sort of connection between Chinese and Mexican cooking. I'm not Mexican, I just want to clarify that, but spent a lot of time in Mexico. And of course, now I'm going to forget the name of, but it's there's also shredded beef. Oh my God. It's a dehydrated beef, but that you use in tacos. And of course,
yes.
I want to say it's like much. It'll come to me. Oh my God.
Yes.
Garlic all over my hands.
I know what you're talking about. Oh my gosh. What the heck? So yeah, that's amazing. What I'm doing.
Well, I'm going to tell you quickly. I feel super lame.
No, I'm going to mute myself for a second so I can blow the pork floss off my keyboard.
I'm not half as intricate as you and your lunch made from a desk. Amazing. I'm doing basically, I did get fresh tortillas from Sobre Masa across the way. I have a little bit of sunflower seed spread that I tend to like. It's kind of what you were saying about the hard drive of sauces, which we need to coin because that's brilliant. That I kind of put on the bottom, a little avocado. And then I'm going to saute some spinach, some mushrooms, shallots, and a little bit of, everyone's favorite ingredient, butter. Also delicious. And then cauliflower. And then, literally like, I'll try not to put half the bottle of the salsa matcha on the tacos. But that's what's up with me. And also want to, maybe we get started. The idea is we're going to just keep talking and catching up. And I want to hear the projects that you've been up to. You're obviously a new dad, which I know, and you helped launch these candy bars. Tell us about these candy bars while you also simultaneously make a lunch from your desk. And I'm going to be cooking and listening.
Like Gigantic, so Alpha Food Labs is my company. We do food innovation. We help food companies kind of put out better products for people and planet. Gigantic has been a client of mine for a while, and we've been working on it really for a long time. And the founder and I have worked on a lot of different things. We just launched e-commerce, giganticcandy.com on January 12th. And essentially it's trying to when like you're maybe like 8 or 9 years old and you go out for Halloween and you like get a bunch of Snickers bars and all these like super sweet candy bars, and and like when you're a little kid, most little kids can handle that amount of sugar. Like it's no big deal just to like scarf down a Snickers bar. But then you kind of get older and then you
kind of can't.
and I'm not even talking about health. I think the sugar thing is one thing, but like just even if you didn't care about the health thing, the sheer just taste of that volume of sugar is like, whoa, that's like so cloying. It's way too much.
So intense.
And so we were like, but you still kind of miss that kind of like little rush you get when you like see a Snickers bar and you kind of get that thing. So
I always want those little minis, the minis.
Yeah. Well, and that's how they get away around it, right? But I think so Gigantic is essentially bringing kind of the fun back to candy bars, but just with like 7 grams of sugar, which compared to a Snickers, a normal size Snickers is about like 23 something. It's huge. So we basically said like, look, like it's not only is it better for your body and your health to eat less sugar, but people just prefer things that are less sweet.
It's true. I had the banana pecan the other day and the hazelnut cafe. I was like sharing it with 2 people, and then I'm like, how did I just may have eaten both by myself. No big deal. But I'm super pumped to try the other 2, the salted peanut and the almond horchata. But like, when it comes to food innovation, like I've seen you cook, but like give us a little bit of background as to like what does that even mean when it comes to coming out with a product that's like direct to consumer?
I think like my main role is kind of like helping the founder here just kind of like form the strategy behind the whole brand and think about what decisions need to be made to go into the product, right? So, while I don't necessarily have my physical hands on like the recipe development, we have a team that kind of works on that with us. We're making choices. And I think every kind of, just like you making a choice to include this or that in a meal or something like that, I think when you're thinking about these products, you're making a lot of these choices, but you have to consider them more because you're going to scale those choices up. I can choose to put cheese on my pasta today, and if I hate it, no big deal. But like the choices you make in a packaged product, like that's going to go into tens of thousands of bars, right? And so I think from thinking about what this brand should stand for, this whole idea of sort of sweet, we call, it's not sweet, it's not dry, it's sort of sweet, is sort of like the phrase we didn't coin, but we're using a lot to describe it. And we think there's a lot of people that like sort of sweet, right? Like think about like the way like wine drinking has gone, right? Like I think people started off maybe in their early wine drinking career drinking big fruity sweet high alcohol like big giant burly cabs. And now it's like, I can't do that anymore. Like I want something super dry and like whatever, right? So I think there's like a parallel to that, like how your palate develops in things like candy. But sadly, outside of like the super like bougie like chocolate bars, which I think is different than candy bars. There's a ton of choices for chocolate bars of like super high quality dark chocolate that isn't sweet at all. But like as far as candy bars go, like it's like Snickers or something that's laced with like artificial sugars. And that's the other thing with Gigantic. We didn't want to use any of the fake stuff. We're like, just use real sugar. There's nothing wrong with real sugar. You just have to use less of it.
I know. I loved that you guys did that, because there's everything is like, oh, monk fruit sweetener or whatever, and then like terrible aftertaste. Like no thanks. And then
brown sugar, plant-based, and that's good.
I know, like the plant-based part too. I know that you ate half your lunch already because you told us that earlier, but tell us, let's get you cooking too.
I'm cooking, so I'm. This is okay. Literally, I mean, so right here's the walkthrough. Like noodles, super fast. These cook super quickly. I'm gonna add some of this cabbage here.
Love it.
And again, like flavor is stored in advance, right? I spent, if I'm doing something over the weekend, like a fire, just throwing the cabbage in there really doesn't take any extra effort. And then you get all that sweetness and it just kind of gets locked in there, right? Chinese sausage. Again, the flavor was stored in this thing like way before it ever like.
Where do you end up getting Chinese sausage? I feel like I don't.
What's crazy? Like I'm in like the suburbs of Detroit right now, and there's this huge Chinese suburb, and we went to the freaking Costco, and there's mountains of like crazy Chinese ingredients at this Costco.
Good to know.
Like holy crap! So there's literally like an entire like end cap of Chinese sausage. So, but you can get them at any Asian grocery store.
Okay, sweet.
Any Asian grocery store.
Sorry, continue.
Do a little of the pork floss, right? So again, this
pork floss,
cotton candy goodness. I
want to say the Mexican shredded beef is like, we're gonna figure this out. Matcha, something. It's not matcha. I feel like I need to Google it right now.
I thought it started with a V. No, I don't know.
Maybe. Continue.
Scallions.
Scallions for the color. Cool.
So this is what we're dealing with so far, and then here I'm going to give you. Here's my oil. And so this is oil that I made.
Tell us what's in it.
There's green jalapenos, red jalapenos, a bunch of Thai bird chilies. There's a ton of habaneros in here. There's a lot of garlic. How
spicy are we talking right now?
Well, it all mellows out because like it gets diluted down with 19 liters of like, I make huge batches because we go through these things really fast.
Got it.
I could literally eat this whole half of this jar in one sitting.
That's amazing.
But so you get the peppers, you get the alliums, you got some green onion, you got some shallot, you got some garlic, you got some white onion, and then you basically like hand chop everything to like little chunky size. My mom was like, why don't you use the food processor? And I was like, no, because I kind of like the irregularity that comes with like doing it awkwardly by hand. I don't want it like, I didn't want it like a paste.
It's also very therapeutic chopping, no?
It's nice. I mean, you put on a podcast, you have a beer, you like watch a movie, and you just like sit there and chop with your gloves on and whatever, and it's great. And then like it's just a neutral oil. Like I just use some canola oil here, and you heat it up. I have a huge wok out back, and I have an outdoor wok burner. So you heat up a bunch of oil, and then you kind of throw in your alliums first, let those get kind of crisped up and bloom, and then you throw the chilies in there. Season it with some salt, and then you just let it mellow. And I have this huge, the beauty of being in cold Michigan right now, where it's like 21 degrees, is you getting an extra refrigerator, meaning like the outdoors is your walk-in. And so I just have this gigantic hotel pan in the garage that it's mellowing out in right now, and I just start jarring it off. So
you might need to send a photo of that.
I will, yeah. I'll so you basically, yeah, and then you just kind of do this. This is it.
Just wow.
Like,
so it's like it's some sauce with the side of noodles, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, and, like, do you see how deep I'm going on this sucker?
Like, it's
you're really not good.
That's and like then, soup. You're turning it into soup.
But the beauty of this is like you can so another move you could do with this is what it looks like. Here's the beauty shot.
I'll show you mine soon.
Fry an egg on this, whatever.
Yes.
And so yeah, and then so here's the fun part, right? It all gets like mixed up.
Yum. That's awesome.
So that's a not sad desk lunch.
That's not sad at all.
You have a not sad desk lunch.
And you said you aren't selling this, but I think maybe after this video, like, people will be reaching out to you anonymously, being like, need that sauce. Hey, well, I'll tell you what I've done so far, and then I just want to ask you a couple more questions and catch up more. But so I got my super fresh tortilla. Oh my God, it's like so. I got the Sparrow sunflower seed. It's kind of like a spreadable cheese, but made with seeds. It's just delicious. I got my ripe avocado, a little lime, a little salt, and then my sauteed mushrooms. I added a little butter, some shallots, spinach, salt, pepper. Boom.
Classic.
Why not? A little vegetarian goodness. Corey and Elizabeth, who are in the background, will be having this for lunch since I couldn't help myself before and ate. What else we got? We got some cauliflower on top. This is looking nice. But yeah, I would normally heat up these tortillas, but they literally, I went to go buy them across the street, and they're like, do you want the ones from yesterday or today? I'm like, I want the ones from today. And they're like super fresh, even though they obviously last longer than a day. All right.
Zach's tortillas are so dope, by the way.
So good.
Like, I can't imagine. I just
good.
like plug the crap out of Zach. So good.
Look at this.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So we got this, and I'm going to do similarly to you. Time to stir the little pot of deliciousness. So a ton of garlic that is fried. Yes. And then sunflower seeds. And then he has, I want to say he uses pasilla, but he might need to correct me on that one. And then oil. So it's not super spicy. And somehow I love garlic, but like sometimes, you kind of overdo it with the garlic. This doesn't like bother me at all. And I just like can't stop. I literally put it on fish, on veggies, on like everything. Eggs. I almost made an egg dish this morning. So I vibe the sauce is like my jam as well. But
the oil mellows out all the flavors.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more. So, I know that like before COVID, you were traveling a lot, you're like speaking all the time, all over the place. How has that been for you? And like, have you been just doing more speaking engagements on Zoom and things like that? And like, I know you've a couple great brands out there.
Yeah, speaking has always been kind of like a thing that's happening on the side, adjacent to the main work. And I'm speaking all the time on kind of the future of food and trends and things like that are changing the food system. I have been doing more of the kind of Zoom things. I think people realized, anyone who was throwing some sort of conference or event was like, okay, I think we need to figure out how to do this on Zoom, because it doesn't look like we're going to have this at all in person. Yeah. So had a few of those, but like, honestly, just been really super jazzed about the client work that we're doing. Like, we help big companies try to be more sustainable and healthful through food. And oh yeah, look at that. There you go.
It's not a bad looking.
There you go. Is that the blue corn tortilla?
It's the red. It's
the red. Okay.
Conico rojo.
Yeah, he's got mad varieties of corn.
But I do like
that's pretty good.
Boom.
Love it. Yeah. So, I mean, we help big food companies like help heal the planet and heal people's health and do better. And so, one project we've been working on for a few months that's been exciting is with the country of New Zealand, and we're working on their global kind of regenerative agriculture strategy. So trying to look at how does agriculture regenerate the planet instead of hold it sustainable. Regenerative ag has just been such an interesting area to play in, because if you think about the sustainability movement, there's this kind of joke in this circle that says, like, if I asked you how your relationship was and you said sustainable, that wouldn't be a good thing. Right. But that's what we say about the planet, right? And it's like being sustainable assumes you have something worthy of sustaining. And I think like it's this idea of like sustainable is like just do no harm, but you're also not doing any good, right? And so regenerative is like kind of taking the other step, and it sort of says, how can we make it so that the more agriculture we grow and the more that we eat and process and stuff like that, how do you make that machine get the soil healthier, right? So that every season you're planting crops in a farm instead of sustaining and just maintaining. In 10 years, how do you make that soil 20 times healthier than it was 10 years ago, So we're working with the country of New Zealand on that. And then we've been working with a huge CPG company, multinational, and one of the biggest ones, on just their kind of product line strategy for the future, and that's centered around sustainability and things like that as well too. So yeah, and biodiversity.
No big deal.
No, so
I'm like, what to do? You're like, not much. Just changing the world.
And I mean, and I've got and you've got the baby, and we're still dealing with the pandemic, right? So hence, that's why these like super fast desk lunches are so like crucial, because like you can just do this on the go.
So to your I'm going to ask you two more questions, but one kind of a follow-up to what you just said. How can we, as like people who can't claim to be sustainable, be more intentional with like regenerative agriculture, like on the day-to-day? Is there, as like, what can I do? Is my
I think the first
question.
step is I think the first step is education. Like we just did some consumer testing, and we just kind of asked people like, have you heard of regenerative agriculture? And more people than we thought heard of it, but still not many people know what it means. And it's a lot more complex than something like organic, which is a fairly straightforward thing, right? And I think part of the messy challenge is it's a super complicated idea, and people in the industry like me are trying to figure out how to distill that complexity down to people so that it goes down to a soundbite, but you're not greenwashing or you're not compromising the idea. I think that's a hard thing to do, because people have like 2 seconds in the grocery aisle, and you have to keep content bite-sized. But the sad thing is, like, some of the more worthy ideas in the world can't be condensed into that size, So we're trying to figure out how to like take people on that journey. I think a good first step at this stage is like simply just type in regenerative agriculture into the Google search box and just start reading about it. There was a movie that came out on Netflix. It did cause a bunch of controversy, but I still think it's worth kind of looking at, called Kiss the Ground. Okay. I think there was a lot of pushback there, because I think they didn't, a lot of the techniques that happen in regenerative agriculture, indigenous communities have been doing for centuries. So there's this kind of side narrative emerging that like so much of what's happening in regenerative is just kind of being co-opted. And I think that's totally valid and fair, but, still watch it to at least go in with that eyes wide open. Because I think you'll still learn about the movement. And then of course there's other ways to learn about the movement as well too. So I think just awareness is the first step. We're at the very beginning of this kind of movement, and it's gonna, the best thing to people to help is to be more aware of it, because that helps the whole movement advance, because people value it.
I miss cooking with you. Can't wait to do it again. And also we'll be awaiting my chili oil. I need it now.
Thanks, Caro.
Bye.
Bye.